구글, 나이키 등의 세계적 기업들이 천문학적인 돈을 내고 초대하는 멘토 짐 퀵. 믿기 힘들겠지만 그는 후천적으로 두뇌의 능력이 무려 60%나 향상될 수 있다고 말합니다. 그리고 진짜 자기 개발을 하는 방법은 생각보다 어렵지 않다고 말했죠. 이번 영상은 그런 짐 퀵의 실제 인터뷰이자 리에디션 영상을 준비했습니다.
Using your phone as an external memory storage. They call it digital dementia. And so I think that a lot of times we get used to just listening to a podcast or just that process. And I just want to remind everybody, one of the ways you could do that as you're listening to something is ask yourself 3 dominant questions. For me, we know that about 1/3 of your brain performance, your memory, is predetermined by genetics. 2/3 is in your control. So going to this, 2/3, I'm going to give everybody right now the 10 keys.
You started the quick learning in 2001 when you were 28 years old. And if you think about the clients you have there, I mean, I read about a lot of them, Google, Virgin, Nike, etc. They're clients of yours.
Yeah.
At the very heart of it, the core of it, why? Why are they coming to you? What is the benefit?
They're struggling with distraction, with memory loss, with overload. They're drowning in information. I think people who come to me realize that their ability to learn and translate that learning into action is an incredible competitive advantage. And the high reliance on technology, like using your phone as an external memory storage, they call it digital dementia. It's a new term in healthcare. Digital dementia is the high reliance on technology to store information that you would normally have to store in your brain, but now that you don't have to do it, not everybody is exercising those parts of our brain to keep our memory sharp. It's this equivalent of when people read and they want to understand more of what they read, right? A lot of people read a page in a book, get to the end, and just forget what they just read, or not even understand it because they didn't have any questions to begin with. And so I think that a lot of times we get used to just listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube or reading a book, and then we feel like our lives are different because of just that process. And I just want to remind everybody, for every hour you spend listening to a podcast, I would challenge everybody to spend an equal hour putting that into play. And one of the ways you could do that as you're listening to something is ask yourself 3 dominant questions. For me is, how can I use this? So I'm obsessed with this question, how can I use this? Because then I start saying, there's an answer, there's an answer, there's an answer. Second question, why must I use this? Because common sense is not common practice. Your listeners have probably forgotten more about life-changing transformation, health, wellness, business than most people in their lives come across. That's just the truth, right? They're probably like, why are you always watching, these podcasts and videos and all this stuff? Because sometimes family and friends don't want to lose you and they want to kind of keep you in a certain place. But if you ask yourself, why must I use this? And you get into head, heart, and then hands, then you have this incredible purpose and drive. And then another question I ask besides how can I use this, why must I use this, is when will I use this? I think one of the most important productivity performance tools we have is our calendar. But you'll see people will schedule investor meetings, they'll schedule team calls, sales meetings, whatever, doctor's appointments, but they're not always scheduling their execution of things that they read from that business book or something that they watched. And so I just want to encourage everybody that, it's better well done than well said, and to practice what we post. And the way we do it is, I think the life we live are the lessons we teach others. The life we live are the lessons we teach. Because you're absolutely right that people could say something, but it's better to show it. It's not one thing to promise it, it's another to prove it, right? Especially in the world that we are today. And now we live in an age where the amount of information's, it's like doubling at dizzying speed, right? There's more information today in a newspaper than somebody in the 17th century ever came across in their whole life, right? When you think about also blogs and social media and podcasts, it's just like, it's overwhelming. So we can't be learning the same ways. We know that about 1/3 of your brain performance, your memory, is predetermined by genetics. 2/3 is in your control. So going to this, 2/3, I'm going to give everybody right now the 10 keys. We'll go through them fast. Number 1, good brain diet. So there's certain foods that are very neuroprotective. In general, some of my favorite brain foods, avocados, the monounsaturated fat is good for the brain. Blueberries, I like to call them brain berries, very neuroprotective. Broccoli, good for your brain. Olive oil, good for the brain. If your diet allows, eggs. The choline in eggs is good for your cognitive health. Green leafy vegetables, like kale and spinach. Another one, I would say wild sardines, or like wild salmon or sardines. Like your brain is mostly fat, so those fish oils. Walnuts.
Everybody's just waiting for you to say chocolate here,
Yeah.
Jim.
There you go. Walnuts and dark chocolate. Dark chocolate. On the other side, that's not so good, processed, foods, high sugar. Number 2, and I'll go through these fast, killing ants. Killing ants is actually clinically proven to be good for your brain. Ants, I get this from Dr. Daniel Amen, automatic negative thoughts. Remember we talked about the power of your thoughts and just keeping it, even if you say I don't have a great memory, just add a little word like yet at the end. It just changes, the potentiality of that statement. Number 3, in no specific order again, is exercise.
Okay.
There's so much research talking about the power of movement and the brain. Our studies show that when you listen to your podcast and they happen to be doing something rhythmic, going for a nice walk with the dogs or on an elliptical, they'll actually understand the information and retain it better. When your body moves, your brain grooves. Just remember that. When your body moves, your brain grooves. When you move your body, you create brain-derived neurotropic factors, B, D, and F, which is like fertilizer for the brain. It's like fertilizer promoting neuroplasticity. Number 4, brain nutrients. If your vitamin D levels are low, you're not going to perform, your brain's not going to perform at its best. If you're not getting your omega-3s, your brain is mostly, made out of fat, your DHAs, your vitamin C, your vitamin Bs. So after brain nutrients, 5 is a clean environment. And this is for everything, and including the quality of the air that you're breathing, even just cleaning your desktop, your external world is a reflection of your internal world, or making your bed just helps you get, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Sorry, that was number 6.
Yeah, number 7 is sleep. So very concerning with sleep and brain performance. We know when you don't sleep, how's your thinking the next day? How's your ability to solve problems? How's your ability to focus, remember things? So yeah, the last 3 really quickly are protect your brain, wear a helmet, 0 to, your brain's very resilient, but it's very fragile. So new learnings is big. We talked about the power of learning.
Novelty.
That's novelty. And for me, reading. Reading is to your mind what exercises your body. I think it's the best. You get all fancy apps and everything else. I think someone who has decades of experience, like yourself or your guests, and they put into a book, and you can sit down and read that book in a few days, you could download decades into days. That's the biggest advantage, right? And reading is incredible exercise for your mind, especially the way we teach it. And then finally, stress management, which you mentioned. How well are you mitigating stress and coping with stress? What mechanisms and tools or rituals or practices do you have? My go-to is meditation.